from the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel. This is a severe weather alert.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Taylor Plott here alongside Chief Meteorologist Fred Gossage and Chase Wilson. New severe thunderstorm warning here for parts of Morgan, Marshall, and Madison counties. It goes until 2:45. It's for, again, that kind of northern part of that kind of complex that we've been tracking over the past several hours. So damaging winds are definitely a possibility from Hartselle east towards Gum Springs, Somerville, Valormoso Springs, Lacey Springs, down towards Morgan City, Union Crossroads, Apple Grove, Eva, even as far north here as the Ditto Landing area, Owens Crossroads, New Hope, the Whitesburg Marina as well along the Tennessee River here, Hobbs Island area. That's kind of that northern extent of the warning. Again, it goes until 2:45. It's for this northern side of that complex that will be continuing to track from the west to the east with time. All that wind that we've been tracking is just now crossing or getting close to Highway 31 and I-65 near the Hartselle-Falkville areas. Even a little bit better of a wind signature here near Battleground. That's the northern part of Coleman County. That will be moving across the county line here very, very shortly. So Chase, let's go ahead and do a storm track with the reflectivity, kind of get it out into this area right here as it gets east of Interstate 65. Yeah, it's pretty good right there. It's moving east at about 45 miles per hour. Everything's been moving at about that speed today. So Basham around basically now it's 152. Hartselle at 155. Falkville 156. Flint City at 156. Vinemont at 157. South Vinemont right around that same time. Coal Springs 201. Priceville 202 if it gets to that kind of northern extent here closer to the county line with Limestone County. Gum Spring 204. Gold Ridge 206. Eva at 206 along with Somerville. Odin Ridge 6 Mile and Bluff City roughly 207 to 211 is your time arrival for this. So again, this is the chance at some periodical winds around 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. I don't think we're looking at widespread 60 to 70 miles per hour like there is a chance further to the south. But there are little instances here and there where there could be some gustier winds up to 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. There's a little bit of some rotation. Looks like it's back here towards the Battleground area. What does that look like on reflectivity, Chase? It's kind of in a messy spot right there. Probably just a lot of storm interaction going on. So again, there's so many just hefty cells within this that it's kind of hard to really do a storm track and time of arrival to be specific because you got a lot of storms that are even out ahead of it. But just from the best wind perspective, it looks like all of it is back here, which is what Chase drew that kind of squall track for that time of arrival. So Battleground up towards Falkville, that's probably the heftiest cell right here. That's going to be moving out of Coleman County. So I would say Falkville, Massey area, right around that, what was that? I'm blanking on what that, it was like a DQ or something that was down there with that exit on 65 and 31 Stuckies or something, I think is what it was. It was something like that. That's kind of that exit right there with the Falkville exit on 65. That's going to be right where that kind of heftier cell is moving and eventually get possibly towards Odin Ridge and Gum Springs here in eastern parts of Morgan County. So again, that's where that kind of heftiest part of that line is located. Let's go ahead and do kind of a back out view because again, we've got other things going on. I do want to go back up towards the Lawrence County and Giles County storm because we are getting reports. I saw from Shelton Barnett that there are trees across the roadways and from the central part of the county, central west side of Lawrenceburg. So it looks like we might have had some damaging winds that moved through the city of Lawrenceburg to an extent. That is all now moving into parts of Giles County. And what's the velocity look like on that? Still looks like if there's any better chance at some higher wind close to 60 miles an hour, at least from the radar perspective, looks like it's close to that Minor Hill community right there along Tennessee Highway 11. So Oak Grove, Minor Hill over towards Aspen Hill, Prospect, maybe as far east as the Elkton area, and maybe getting close to Bunker Hill and Wheelerton. That looks like that's going to be your best shot at seeing some pretty gusty winds on that kind of southern part of the Giles County area. The northern part still seeing some gusty winds. Olivet back towards the Bodenham community, that west side of Pulaski. Looks like there might be some wind gusts around 40 to 50 miles per hour. I wouldn't be shocked if there were some instances of 40 to 50 mile an hour winds that are causing some tree damage, because I know that, you know, we've had kind of periodic rain over the past kind of several days, but the soil at the root level is probably still saturated. So it's not going to take a whole lot of wind to knock some of these trees down. So even though from Olivet right along Highway 31 up towards Linville, you might be seeing technically sub-severe winds, 40, maybe 50 miles an hour, that might be enough to be doing some tree damage out there. So just keep that in mind. So Linville over towards Cornersville, Campbell Station over towards Lewisburg, this kind of heads up for you guys up there. Looks like that's where that kind of brighter area here near Linville is. On the northern side of Giles County, yep, this one up here, and then the southern one moving towards Minor Hill, Oak Grove, Aspen Hill, Prospect, and Elkton. That looks like it probably has the best chance at seeing some severe winds right now. Chase, let me toss it over to you real quick. What are you kind of seeing radar-wise, not only with these kind of two areas that we're watching, but also just kind of an overall view of how the storms are looking right now?
Yeah, sure. We're keeping an eye, of course, on any development out ahead of this and the line as a whole. Right now, fortunately, we're not seeing too much in the way of development out ahead of it. They're actually all starting to get merged into it, especially in Morgan County. And I do want to mention kind of what you were saying earlier about this severe thunderstorm warning. It's not for that stuff out ahead of it, at least as of current indications. We're not seeing too much in the way of very severe winds. In fact, you notice a precipitable drop-off in winds in those cells out ahead of it. So from Morgan City, even out further west towards Marshall County, notice it's not quite as much. We're pretty much strictly talking about this stuff back here where we're getting some kind of hairy interactions with these cells or kind of merging with the line. And I think that's going to keep those winds going for a little longer yet, because, I mean, the line's looking a little ragged in some spots of Limestone County. I still wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if up north where we see that gust punching through, where you get some damaging winds west of Ardmore. But, you know, from Athens to Tanner, even north of Decatur, so 72 headed out to Limestone County, it's looking a little bit more shaky in terms of its structure. It's not quite as impressive as it once was.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to think we're getting into two very specific areas of potential here, kind of gapped in terms of the threat right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's go back down to that one coming out of Coleman County. They've upgraded this warning to a 70 mile an hour potential considerable tag on this warning that includes Coleman County, eastern parts of Morgan County, basically all of Marshall County, and the southeastern part of Madison County. So this is now a considerable tag, meaning that the winds are not just possibly up to 60 miles an hour, but also 70 miles per hour, because they're seeing an increase in this velocity coming out of parts of Coleman County right here. Specifically, I'm curious what that looks like on the, is that rotation or is that actually?
Well, it sure looks like it to me. Let's take a look here.
What the reflectivity looks like. Yeah, that is probably a very small supercell.
Yeah, and you got a big bowing feature right here coming into the west side of Coleman too, so that's probably going to be enhanced winds 60, 65, 70 miles an hour as well.
Is that trying to track northeast a little bit, or is that still pretty much due east?
Let me loop that for you. Let's kind of see.
Because they did the whole warning. Yeah, that kind of has a little bit of a northeasterly track.
A very subtle northeast, but yeah, I'd say east-northeast.
So then it looks like from this perspective, then if there were going to be any 70 mile per hour winds, it was just the Coleman part.
I would agree with that, especially as that feature, the sharpest reflectivity presentation is pretty much from it's pretty much riding the interstate right now.
So then what they had to do was, because they had that warning already there, they had to actually just do it for the whole warning.
And if you look in Morgan County as well, the structures, there are a couple Boeing structures if you kind of squint there, but I really do think the
like
most,
right here.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think the most substantial, dangerous winds at 70 miles an hour or greater, that would be probably the Coleman sector right now.
Yeah, I completely concur with that. So yeah, it was just yes, technically that whole warning polygon is now up to 70 miles per hour, but they had to do that because that part of the storm in Coleman County is part of that whole polygon. So unfortunately, without having to just do another polygon right here, they ended up just doing the whole polygon itself. So it does look like the best chance for that 70 mile an hour wind potential is just like what Chase was talking about. It's going to be here from Vinemont down towards Coleman and the Good Hope exit along 65, and that will kind of go right along Highway 278 towards the Holly Pond, the Fairview area, potentially up towards Baileyton. as well. So if you know anybody, you're kind of watching us from Coleman County, that's going to be that kind of part right here where there's going to be the potential for those 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. If you're on the Morgan, Marshall, and Madison County sides, at least right now, it looks like you're looking at more 50 to 60 mile per hour wind potential in just some isolated pockets. I'm not seeing anything that looks very big, bowing, and widespread like it could be in Coleman County right now. So Falkville, Hartselle, Priceville, Somerville, Vallehermoso Springs, up towards Lacey Springs, down towards the Apple Grove area, and Allen's Crossroads as well. That's going to be kind of your best shot right here in Morgan County for seeing some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, maybe as far north as Ditto Landing, Hobbs Islands, Owens Crossroads, and New Hope right now. I'm not seeing anything, Chase, other than that cell that's near Simcoe in Coleman County that had that little bit of rotation on it.
Yeah,
There's a little bit near Hulako, but that's really nothing to.
It's a little bit. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but
Yeah.
that's more moving into Marshall County with its current trajectory. I would say it probably misses Hulako.
Yeah.
And then further west into Morgan County, I'm not really.
Yeah, that's just all gusty wind look.
I would say that's more some winds punching out. You're probably getting some 50s, 60s near Decatur, probably near Gum Spring, but I'm not seeing any immediate signs of rotation up there at the moment.
Yeah. Let me look at that Coleman one just one more time, because that's in a.
Right down here?
That's getting.
Yeah, I'll flip.
I know it's in Coleman County, but if they ended up popping a warning, it would probably include parts of Morgan and Marshall. Go ahead and do.
Not with it moving.
Oh, is it okay? It's moving. It's moving that way then.
There's no northeast movement.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
so
it's got
that is
more of
kind of
an
going
east.
right along 278 then.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
figure by the time it's in Holly Pond, it'll only just be crossing the highway.
And it's oh so close to being absorbed by that line anyway. It might not
Yeah.
even make it towards Holly Pond. So,
it's
right here
within
we're on top of
miles.
Berlin.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do a back out view. And with it being 2 o'clock, we'll just kind of give an old broad perspective here, kind of do another just kind of overall update since we are at 2 o'clock here. So again, severe thunderstorm warning does continue for parts of Lawrence and Giles County here in Tennessee. Right now it looks like the bulk of the storm is now firmly into the Giles County area. Northern Giles, southern Murray, and western Marshall County. There's a hefty storm right there. There's a what we call a significant weather advisory, special weather statement, just basically saying it's a strong storm. It's not severe, but can expect some gusty winds, maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour, getting close to that I-65 corridor right now. Again, you go down the line, you have that severe storm in parts of Giles County. There's a chance that there still could be some gusty to damaging winds on the northern side of Limestone County, or just across or right along the state line as you go north of Athens, close towards Elkton and the west side of Ardmore. So that's kind of tracking in this general vicinity. The storm that is in Athens itself does not appear to be severe right now. And then once you get across the river down towards that Morgan County area we were just talking about, that's where you start getting more of that uptick in some of that possible 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, kind of sporadically within little spots here and there within that kind of broken line. This continues to track towards the east, and it's going to pretty much get all east of Interstate 65 here probably in the next 20 to 30 minutes, because it's already getting very, very close here in the Tennessee areas, and also starting to cross it here down in Morgan County and Coleman County. So eventually, here in the next 20 to 30 minutes, we probably would be able to give everybody west of Interstate 65 an all clear, and then we're just watching for any possible, and I do stress possible, redevelopment during the evening hours, and we'll just have to watch those very easily. What's up?
OHX is focusing on the Prospect area in southern Giles for
Enhanced wind damage. Okay, so we can go down. Yeah, I see what they're talking about right here. That's that kind of MCV that we were tracking from parts of the shoals earlier, right on top of Prospect. What's the height on that?
That is 3,000 feet.
So there's probably 60 to 65 mile an hour winds that are being produced, and that's going to be all right. So this is going to be that northern extension. It looks like that the Weather Service in Huntsville is doing for Limestone, Lincoln, and Madison counties. So again, there looks like some enhanced winds right here along Prospect Road that goes from Prospect all the way back towards the Elkton area. So that looks like that's kind of where this is tracking. So between Aspen Hill and Ardmore, right here along Highway 31, and eventually getting into the Wheelerton, Delrose, and east of Ardmore. And that's that warning. Sorry, so they're focusing in on that part itself, not just the entire northern part of the line here. So now this is a severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern parts of Limestone, very, very far northwestern parts of Madison County, and in Lincoln County, Moore, and Franklin. What you got?
You gotta go till 3.
It goes. Oh, you put it. Okay, it goes till 3. So yes. So that's going to take it out from Fayetteville, Mulberry, Flintville, over towards the Huntland, Winchester, and Estill Springs areas up there in parts of Franklin County, Tennessee. So again, this is for that part of that cell, and it is starting to bow a little bit, Chase.
Yes, I agree
Right
with that.
here.
I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of a small fan track here
Yeah.
for you, pretty much right here on the leading edge of this. And then I'm going to go northeast at about the same speed that we've had these things moving into, into Lincoln County and northeastern Limestone County, and very, very northwestern Madison County as well.
And I will say, it does look like it's probably just going to stay in this kind of general path. It doesn't look like it's really expanding too much.
Yeah, that's probably why they made it such a kind of narrow.
Yeah, it's very narrow.
Thunderstorm warning.
So this is going to be for Elkton. It's getting right into your area. It's just now crossing Prospect, Tennessee. So Elkton in about 4 minutes or so. Ardmore 210, Pinedale 212, Wheelerton 213, Delrose 216, Elkwood 220, Taft 220, Bellevue 229, Fayetteville 234, Kelso at 239, and Flintville at 243. So this is going to be an enhanced area of possible damaging winds, maybe up to 60, 65. Cannot completely rule out 70 miles per hour here. We were seeing 74 to 75 as Chase did that pixel query there, and that was about 3,000 feet up in the sky, 64. So you kind of extrapolate that, translate it down to the ground. You're probably getting about 50 to 60 easily with that little area, and cannot completely rule out something just a little bit stronger than that. So damaging winds potential here moving into this town of Elkton, moving very, very close to Ardmore. I think this generally stays on the northern side of Ardmore, so not Ardmore, Alabama, but Ardmore, Tennessee side, and then towards Taft and Fayetteville. And it does look like it expanded. Was that a new scan? It looked like it expanded just a little bit further to the north. So yeah, I think it's going to basically straddle the state line just for a little bit, and then probably take either a northeast or east-northeast track into parts of Lincoln County. Frank Ewing, I think Frank Ewing, I think you're looking at some gusty winds right now. I think the best chance at damaging winds is going to be south of you. So I think right now south of Highway 64 and then towards the state line, that kind of general zone right there, that's where you're going to see your kind of enhanced area of some damaging winds. Is there anything else kind of up and down that line that looks like it's trying to get stronger? I know we're seeing some better wind here, but you're kind of getting further away from the radar, and that doesn't look severe at all, just kind of very gusty. Moving across 65 into parts of Marshall County. Going down the line here, looks like maybe some spots. And this is, again, once you get down south of Athens towards the river, that kind of Morgan County area, it's not one whole area of wind. It's just kind of sporadic here and there where you could get some gusts around maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour.
Yeah,
because that is just very messy looking.
Yep. Yeah, definitely, it's a mess down there. And up here, when I was looking at velocities, looking back at reflectivity, again, there's that gap that you kind of have in the structure there. So, indeed, looks like we're starting to separate into this little bowing segment here, and then further south of the river.
Yep, the MCVs is kind of taking its own thing, and then everything between that and that better structure to the south is really just struggling.
Yep.
Very, very mightily so.
And I noticed the rotation's diminishing further south as well.
And that's just another example of, the low-level wind shear is not very, very strong. So even though you are getting some, brief areas of rotation, they're not going to be lasting too long. It doesn't mean you can't get a quick tornado, but it's not going to be long lasting. So again, just kind of another overview here for Morgan County. Looks like the best chances some gusty winds are near the Priceville area right towards the Tennessee River, and then other little areas near Somerville, Valramoso Springs, down towards the Brewer High School area right there along Highway 67 and Evil Road, Odin Ridge, Apple Grove, Morgan City, Lacey Springs. That kind of looks like your kind of best shot in central Morgan County, anywhere from 50, maybe punching 60 very, very briefly, but most of that is roughly around 40 to 50 miles per hour. So that will continue to track to the east, getting very close to Highway 231 here along near Lacey Springs, Morgan City, and Apple Grove. And so again, I'm not seeing anything that screams significant damaging winds with that. So, all right, with it being 2:08, that's kind of another quick overview. So if you want to kind of do a reset view, we'll kind of show things again. So that's that new severe thunderstorm warning here that includes parts of Lincoln, I think for the most part, that northeastern parts of Limestone near Ardmore, I think you're dealing with more 50-mile-per-hour winds, maybe up to 60. I think the better shot at 60, 65, maybe 70 is going to be firmly in parts of Lincoln County, getting close to the Fayetteville area, probably between Fayetteville and Park City, Tennessee, and then that kind of moves into parts of Franklin and Moore counties. And that very, very small sliver of Madison County, I think you're okay there, but still some gusty winds potential. Then, like Chase mentioned, you have a gap between the best winds here in Tennessee and down into Morgan County. That Morgan County storm continuing to work its way towards the east. So again, we're getting very close to getting this line completely out of our viewing area. Very, very shortly, we'll be able to give everybody west of Interstate 65 an all clear. And then, like I mentioned, we'll be keeping a close eye on any additional development that happens later on this evening as well. So our severe weather threat might, and I stress might, not be completely over, but we'll just have to wait and see how the atmosphere looks and if things actually end up being completely worked over. Hopefully we don't have that second round of severe weather. All right, for Chief Meteorologist Fred Gossage, for Chase Wilson, I'm Taylor Plott. Thank you for sticking with the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. Our next update will be at 3 p.m., barring any other additional warnings. So until then, stick with us here at the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. We'll keep you advised.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.